Hi, welcome to Your Town. I'm Jess Ryan, a big community advocate. I love nonprofits in this upper Ohio Valley. They work so hard to better the lives of so many people. There are a lot of needs here, some you see, some you may not, but the Ohio Valley has a lot of nonprofits that are addressing those needs and really helping folks here. And one of those lovely people that is out there doing everybody's wonderful work for a very vulnerable population is Lori, who is with the YWCA. She's the executive director. Lori Jones, thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me.
So tell me what you guys have going on right now. There's always something fun happening at the Y.
Well, right now our big focus is the public part of our capital campaign. So we are raising $11 million, $11,008,000, and of that we need 1.8. We announced 2 weeks ago. We're looking forward to having every piece of the YWCA touched and brought up to this century. It's 110 years old. I guess we're 117. The building's 110. We have thousands of people walk through our doors every year, and it's starting to show its wear and tear. They're going to do some structural, they're mechanical, they're electrical. Our elevator is being replaced as we speak, and because it was from the 60s. I mean, they didn't make parts for it anymore. Those are just some of the struggles. The plumbing, the electric, breakers won't blow anymore. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. But historically renovated, so it's going to be pretty.
I'm sure. Well, nonprofit organizations give so much love to people that sometimes they're not able to give that love to the facilities, but the facilities are important so that you can give the love to the folks.
Yeah, and I've been told that if we do it now, that it'll last for another 100 years, and that's kind of an amazing thought, to think that it'll be helping people 100 years of now, because I'm sure when they built it in 1912, they weren't thinking that we would be doing the similar work. Oh, so let me tell you the story.
Yeah, the history.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So in November, a flyer was found at Advanced Memorial Church, and it was from 1922. Oh, wow. They were raising $18,000 for their first capital improvements for the swimming pool and some things like that. And on the front of it, they were saying things like it's better to reform a woman than retrain a woman. And all of those things reflected to what the work that we do today, and it had nothing to do with what they were doing at the time. Got me very excited, but that's when, exactly 100 years later,
that's wonderful.
that I was like, oh, we have to. I wasn't hoping to announce. I was going to try to do it all under the radar, and that was my mom saying, do it. You need to come forward and get that 1.8 and be done with this and move on, because we have bigger plans for the future and some expansion things that are going to happen, and one thing at a time.
Since you have raised some of that money or have had that money pledged so far, do you have to wait till that final dollar's there for renovation, or have things been in the works so far?
Yeah, so we have the elevator is being replaced right now. Over the summer, we did added 4 offices and some space, kitchenette and a meeting space in the back of the soup, what was the soup kitchen, but is now the women's boutique. That is completed. The bids are out. They're due February 1st. We will, and they say if we pick up our contractor by February 23rd, it'll be done by December 20th of 2024.
Okay.
So we're really excited. It would just be more like home for a lot of people, because right now it's kind of institutional. When we went to college, it's the same dormitory style, but this will be a lot more homey.
Oh, great.
So more comfortable for the people who live there.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And will you be able to see more people, or there'll be more rooms added?
We are adding rooms. We're becoming more efficient. So right now, on the top 3 floors are housing, and we house homeless and women in recovery and transitional housing. But on every floor is a room that they use for personal care items. All of those will be in one space now in the basement. So we will actually be adding up to 10 more bedrooms.
Great.
They're lowering the floors in the bathrooms. We're changing the bathrooms. We're going to add more. Yes, it's going to be, we're going to go up to 55 potential residents in the YWCA at any given time, and that's wonderful.
Wonderful. And if people haven't been through and seen the building now, they're probably on borrowed time before things get started. But I've been through several times, and it's very moving that even though it is a dormitory style, there's a homey feel for folks. There's places where they can gather together. There's places where they can cook together, do crafts together, where their kids can play. So we're opening that up and making it feel more home, less of the hard brick of a dormitory kind of feel, but make it feel soft and comforting for folks who have gone through quite a bit of trauma is really valuable and important.
Well, I think, praise to the people who have come before and tried to keep the building together and all of the things, because, whether we were putting Band-Aids on or actually doing investment to make them more efficient and more comfortable, they've done a great job of keeping that building for 112 years. And, this will just actually put it all in place so the next executive director doesn't have to worry about those things anymore, or at least for hopefully 25 or 50 years. But because we're historic, we're still going to have the swimming pool. It'll just be covered, and all of those things will be there. So, when you come into the Y, there's the angels on the ceiling. It gives you such a great feeling when you're seeking assistance. I see the transformation of people as they come through the doors, and they've been there for a while, but those angels speak to everyone who comes through.
Are they going to stay?
They are.
That's perfect.
They are.
Well, you said an ex-executive director. So is this a project you wanted to get done before maybe the next executive director came in, Lori?
Yes. I'm getting old, and I've been there 25 years. I just think once those things are taken care of, it will actually be really easy for somebody to come in and just pick up where we are and only focus on programming and not have to worry about the structural issues of the 1100 Chaplin Street location. Again, thousands of people come through our doors every year and get good service and education and things like that. We're doing Project ID now. We're creating an education space that will be more for parenting and life skills. And, I'm going to be tired. I feel tired.
After a capital campaign, an entire overhaul of an organization, I'm sure that looks that way. Your team's fantastic.
They are.
You have compiled a really good group of dedicated people who have giant hearts and some of them have been there, done that, and are great peers for folks who are going through problems. Can we talk a little bit about more of the programming side of things that you're going through?
Absolutely. So let me give some shout out to your group. Do you want to talk about your group, and then we'll talk about how we collaborated together?
Oh, hockey.
Yeah. Sorry.
I did ask her about this beforehand, too. I'm a member of the Wheeling Lightning Birds, and we are a women's amateur hockey team at the heart of but there's something at the heart of what we do, too. We play hockey. A lot of us played, 19, 15, 20 years ago when Waha had a girls' league, and that went away. So the actual thought about the Wheeling Lightning Birds was from an old teammate of mine who was so much younger than me. She was half my age at the time probably when she played with me, and she said that she had little girls and she wanted them to play hockey and she loves the game. So she, instead of just coming out and saying, hey, let's put a group of people together and see if some girls, women, we're like 35, 40-year-olds, if they want to come out and play, she said, I would like this to be a nonprofit that promotes girls in sports, that promotes women, that is a powerful, hey, you can still get out there and play hockey at 40 years old kind of group. And it has become this wonderful community, this great sisterhood. And we've been able to, we've been reached out to, which means Rachel's mission was doing a good job. We've been reached out to by several nonprofits, and one of them was the YW.
So we always struggle when someone is moving out because we don't have trucks or the availability of that. So as people move, they have difficulty getting their new furniture or the furniture that has been donated to the YWCA to the new apartment. So the Lightning Birds are helping with that, and that has been a wonderful collaboration. Don't know how it initially started, but I'm so glad that it has.
Yes.
And I'm actually now recommending the Lightning Birds to other organizations. So I think we're going to keep you busy.
Well, it was great. I was a Facebook message to our page that said, I love what you're doing for women in the area and getting people to feel that they can get back out and do something physical and all of that. I mean, there's yoga and then there's ice hockey. They're completely different things, of course. But that was the first time that I think it really brought the girls together, our women together, to think about what they could do beyond the ice, off the ice, and they loved it. So they helped with the move, they helped with locating some items to furnish the location. It was lovely. They loved it. I did not get to attend, but they had such a great time. They've done it a couple of different times now. We've been reached out to by the Girl Scouts to do some type of mentoring with them at their ice skating party. So it has blown up into something way far beyond anything, and we're undefeated. so there's that too. It's been wonderful, but I was so glad. Thank you to whoever reached out for us. I'll find out who the name was that reached out to us on Facebook, because it really started something that wasn't here before. And again, it's just behind the ice.
Well,
I
and
appreciate it.
Big fan of women helping women, and those small things, filling those gaps are huge, and filling a gap that we knew we had but didn't know could be filled so easily. So thank you to all of the Lightning Birds.
Absolutely. And if you need anything, reach out. You can just message us on Facebook. All of the captains have access to that. So you can reach out and ask and see how else we can get involved. I'm sure the girls would love to do it. But back to the YW, I know you have some other things going on as well. And again, let's get back to programming. So if I just said they want help moving things, or any of the nonprofits want help, they can reach out to Lightning Birds. But if anybody needs help from a domestic violence standpoint, from a diversity inclusion standpoint, the Y is at the forefront of all of that for our community. So if people are looking for that type of help, or trying to get somebody in their family that might be in a situation to that help, how can they do that?
304-232-0511, 24-hour calls at 304-232-2748. It's a crisis number. Again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Or go to our Facebook page, YWCA-Wheeling, or website, ywca-wheeling.org.
One of the programs that I love that you do is reaching out into schools and talk about dating violence and relationship things that, as a parent now, I have a high schooler, and that stuff is top of mind for me. I see that there are relationships in school, and some of that could probably put people in a tough situation. So you're being proactive and going to the schools and letting girls know this is what's right, this is what's wrong, this is in relationship bullying.
Well, and we have done more of that this year, and changing it a little bit, because we're doing the teen dating violence advocacy in Wheeling Park, John Marshall, and in Wetzel County, and then doing a lot more education on deterring human trafficking and grooming and all of those kind of things. If predators take advantage of people who are vulnerable, and if there is ever a vulnerable population, it is girls who are trying to learn who they are and where they're comfortable, and the ability to say no and set their own boundaries. So anything that we can do to help girls get to that point. Our youth leadership, we did our lock-in this year, but it wasn't a lock-in. We did our education at the YWCA. Those things are so important. Vulnerable girl, when I was a kid, was taken advantage of a couple of times, and trying to make sure that doesn't happen to the generations to come, or saving one at a time.
I love it. Well, I know we have a second part of the YW coming off. Do you want to hand everything off to her? Is there anything else you want to add before we get a break?
No, I'm happy with who's here and what she's going to talk about, and I thank you very, very much. This is always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. It's good to see you again.
You too.
We will be right back.
My name is Mariah Cashbaugh, and I'm a microbiology major, and I work under the direction of Dr. Horzempa. Dr. Horzempa's lab works primarily with the pathogen Francisella tularensis, and we work determining virulence factors and other complexes that might contribute to disease and developing possible vaccines. I specifically work with 3 gene deletion mutant strains of Francisella in possible transcriptional regulators. So we want to see how these transcriptional regulators affect the intracellular pathogenesis of Francisella in mouse macrophages. So we use the cell line 264.7. I've always found science really interesting, and I always knew I wanted to go into biology. The thing about microbiology is just that there's so many different things to look at, and you can never really get bored, and it's all about problem solving.
Welcome back to your town. I'm here with another person from the YWCA. It's Laura Weigel, and she is the director of the WIND program. For those unfamiliar, tell us about the WIND program.
The WIN program stands for Women Inspired in New Directions. We are a peer-supported recovery facility. We're a phased program, so we work with women 18 and older who have decided that they want to try to find their way through the recovery process. And a lot of them are coming out of corrections, so it's also recovery and reentry. So they're coming back into the community. We work with them, mentoring. We have peers who have been there and done that successfully, and they spend a lot of time with them. We assess all of their life skills. Everybody has a different story, and we've learned the hard way sometimes. We assume they have knowledge, they don't always. So one of the very first things we do meeting with them is we talk first of all about what do you want to be when you grow up, and long and short-term goals. We want to set realistic expectations. And just meeting each one, again, their stories. Some of them have children, some of them don't. Some of them have been married, some of them haven't. But looking at what barriers that they may be facing to try to plan that out through case managed services. We use all local facilities within the Ohio Valley to meet that need, whether it be for mental health, whether it be for physical health, whether it be for spiritual guidance if they choose. All of their NA and AA and their mutual support group meetings. Again, we do a series of life skills classes. Some of them have never written a check. Some of them have never used coupons. We walk them through meal planning and how to clean a toilet. Sometimes it's hygiene. So each one, again, has a different story, and it takes a little time because you have to build that trusting relationship. Right. And so we do that through those daily interactions with the staff. A lot of times we have to spend time in advocacy in the court system. Some of them are not finished with that part of their story. Right. They have to go through either state drug court programming, federal drug court programming. There's a family drug court treatment team that we work with Child Protective Services because we want to help foster the reunification of families. So we play a huge role weekly in the treatment team meetings and the court hearings and giving updates on progress or lack thereof. And then there's all the other stuff like drug testing and keeping your room clean and doing your weekly chores and cooking meals because they do things as a group also. I know you had talked about community setting, and that's part of it. We're building a community of strong women, and we're helping them help themselves put those steps together. Great. So that is the process that we walk through with them. And it's not perfect. And again, each one is different. And we have 3 phases. So they slowly go through the phases. And the first one's very basic. It's we focus on the IDs, the Social Security cards, the birth certificates, all of those basic things that they need. That's why we have Project ID. If they are in a parenting situation, we are certified to do a nurturing parenting class, which is actually more than one class. It's a 6-week program. And we focus on the reality of what it is like in early recovery, trying to parent again. Because those children have also suffered of a parent's addiction, and working to more smoothly navigate how to reestablish that relationship and that trust bond. Some of them, their children have literally been removed from birth, and it's actually learning to build that bond and that attachment. And again, sometimes these individuals aren't in a place where they're ready to do that, or the courts have moved faster than the individual, and so it's healing and accepting the damage of your past and how you still can be successful and loving and interacting with that family. Sometimes it's person, places, and things. You have to change all of that up. So you may be moving 5 hours away. You may be reestablishing in a new community. A lot of our people come from all over the state, and so then it's also integrating them into our community should they choose to stay.
That's great.
Housing is a huge issue,
Yes.
and waiting lists are phenomenal. But again, it's teaching them during those phases how they budget all of that. A lot of these individuals have done damage during their time in recovery or prior to recovery and coming into reentry. And so we start them out with 20 hours of community service every week, giving back to their environment from which they probably did harm at one point. And so doing that prepares them also to even do a part-time job.
Right.
And we've got to start somewhere, right? It's that whole where you want to be when you grow up. And so some of them choose to take classes, and we work with West Virginia Northern in different opportunities, Jobs and Hope, to get them signed up to do various trainings and certifications. And that's huge because that's a self-esteem builder too.
Right.
So working with each one on their pathway. Some people, just getting a job at a fast food restaurant is a huge step, and we support and applaud that. And we have some great local entities, businesses. DeCarlo's is one of them. And they support the schedules that these women have with the classes they have to attend and court appearances and different things. So it is phenomenal that not only do we have the ability to offer the opportunities, but that we have community businesses who support that challenge and that venture and are trying to help these individuals grow. So again, yeah, the empowerment piece is huge because with each little step, you see the layers. When we talk about so many things, one of the things with the health is dental. So many people that have been in substance misuse have horrible dental issues, and going through the process of having teeth pulled and having surgeries and getting to the point where you could even have dentures, it's amazing the transformation that occurs and the self-confidence that comes back or is established because, oh my gosh, I can actually smile and feel good about myself for the first time. So again, layer by layer, doing all of that at their pace. And I'm not going to tell you that there aren't times with individuals that there's back steps. It's a very scary, overwhelming process, and that's why it's so important to have peers help you break it off piece by piece,
Right.
so that it seems attainable and not this huge mountain in front of you. And then there are those who come to us that have more skills and maybe can get through it much more quickly. Or we've had returners. Recovery is not a clear-cut path, and sometimes it may take people many times coming back at it to figure out what the missing pieces are. Right. So those individuals also can sometimes go through it at a quicker pace just because they have some of the pieces.
Right.
They're just coming back for the missing ones. And so it's our job to recognize and respect that and meet them at that level. So that also is a very exciting thing to see. I can do this 2 times or 3 times, and it's not a one and done.
Right.
And you can still have success and make important decisions and outcomes in your life.
And that they can always come back and see you. You're clearly so passionate and so knowledgeable about this program. I was just sitting back and letting you
Sorry.
go. No, you were wonderful. If I had a question in my mind, you were answering them right there. We were right here.
Okay.
But with the women that have been through the program, there's stigma in the Valley. Not just in the Valley, there's stigma everywhere.
It's huge.
And you're working as well to help break that stigma. So when people are out in the community and they're working in the community, volunteering in the community, working at local places, you're interacting with folks all the time. And in your mind, that stigma isn't on the person that's right in front of you. There is a face and a human being behind the trauma that they have gone through, or either bad decisions or addiction that they got that was not their decision. There is no perfect box that your clients fit into.
No, and I think the biggest selling point when you're out talking to the community, well, it's a couple things. One, the idea that not in my backyard, it's at this point in our life, in the community, it's in everybody's backyard, It's in everybody's church, it's in everybody's school, and trying to get people to accept that and or just take the blinders off.
Right.
And putting the face on that individual, that's so important. And we do, you are correct, spend a lot of time with community entities and community partners in doing that. And there are times when people don't succeed in these, and it's going back and saying, okay, if we had a problem, what was the problem? What can we do as an entity to help additional individuals come to you and it be more successful?
Right.
Is it a transportation thing? Is it an environment thing? You know, we'll just walk through the steps with them, because we want to have those great relationships. And again, we will see the women go farther with each small success.
Right.
So why not set them up for that to begin with?
And you have to treat people with kindness.
Sure.
Your group and your peers, they know how to treat women who have gone through this.
Right.
As a general population, sometimes we get stuck in this boat of what we picture when you hear the word addiction. You have an image in front of you, and it's not going to be somebody that you see out volunteering or someone that you've run into. You're right, it's in our backyard, but they're also part of our community, and there's a human
Everywhere.
being behind that situation. How can we focus on that? How can we get you in front of more people so we can talk more about not having those kind of opinions?
Just having us come out and speak about, I mean, if you want stories, we have 1,000, you know, good and bad, because you do need to see that. Again, not everybody is ready their first time around, their second or third time around. It is a process. There is maturity that's involved. Again, it is supports. What supports are in place? So as much as we can get out and talk and promote what we do, the other thing is a lot of these people, if they're coming through the reentry piece, there is a lot of things hanging over their head that push them, because the outcome could be loss of children,
Right.
going back to prison, you know, very negative consequences. So those people tend to be even more motivated than your average citizen,
Right.
because they feel that obviously they have more to prove. And that's why we want to put that step stool in place to make that journey a little less, oh my goodness, overwhelming. So yes, as many times as we can go out and put a face on it, I willingly. A lot of times when I do trainings, I will put a picture up on the board behind me, and then I will have the individuals in the audience. The picture will be like their mugshot, and then we will have them in the audience, and they will stand up and they'll be like, oh my God, that's not the same person. I'm like, that is the person.
Right.
And there's the transformation. And here we are.
That's right.
And it's amazing.
And it needs community support to make that happen.
Definitely.
The stigma is sometimes what prevents folks from getting help, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
So if we can help as a community embrace people and embrace change, be kind to people. I feel like end up saying that every show. Teresa probably knows that.
Yeah.
If we can just be kind to people, you never know what somebody is going through. You know, Lori was on here focusing about domestic violence. You never know what somebody else is going through. It's always the best avenue to be kind. And when you are in the community at places where it's fast food restaurants, you know, you may not realize that somebody is fighting very, very hard
For their life.
For their life when you come through. So it's always important to be kind.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, thank you for joining. Do you have anything coming up that you want to talk about? Any fundraisers, anything like that outside of the Capital campaign?
I know that we have the Hip Hop Black Tie Affair
great.
at the Wheeling Heritage that's coming up. I'm trying to think of any other events on the horizon. Stay tuned to our Facebook page, because I'm sure we'll be putting it out there.
Great.
Again, with reconstruction and renovation, it's going to be
lot.
it's going to be a lot. It's going to be very challenging to keep everything humming along.
If anybody is interested in the WIND program, either has a family member or they're interested themselves, or somebody who has gone through and would like to look at being a mentor and a peer for that group, how would they reach out to you?
They can either get to us through our Facebook page, or they can call us at 304-232-0511. And the actual WIND office, where we do intakes for individuals, whenever they call in, is 304-214-9350.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
what you're doing in the
Oh, thank
community
you.
as well, and for your passion, and hopefully you'll motivate some other
It's
people.
just like she said, I believe in the starfish story. It's you keep throwing them back, and throwing them back, and hopefully one will be out there.
Yeah.
And it makes it all worth it.
I love it. Well, congratulations on the successes you've had.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.